Well, hello there, fellow adventurers, and welcome back to our little corner of the world on wheels. It's us, John and Karen, coming to you today from, well, let's just say a rather lovely spot nestled beside a whispering river in the Scottish Highlands. The heather is in bloom, painting the hills purple, and Vanny, our trusty camper van, is parked up with a view that could make a postcard jealous. We've just finished a cup of tea, the strong kind, and the air has that crisp, clean quality that makes you feel alive. You know, ever since we traded our house keys for Vanny's ignition key a few years back, embarking on this grand adventure after hitting the big 5-0, we've shared so many of our escapades with you, the breathtaking views, the quirky local encounters, the inevitable wrong turns, and yes, even the occasional mechanical hiccup that had us contemplating a career in roadside engineering. It's been a journey of trading routine for the intoxicating freedom of the open road, a tapestry woven with unforgettable moments and heartfelt stories from all corners of this beautiful globe we've been lucky enough to explore. But today, we wanted to pull back the curtain on something a little different, something that many of you have asked about in your wonderful comments and emails. It's a question that pops up regularly: John, Karen, how on earth do you manage to stay healthy and reasonably fit while living in a van, especially when you're not exactly spring chickens anymore? And it's a fair question. The allure of endless horizons and spontaneous detours is strong, but so is the siren song of service station pastries and the ease of skipping a workout when your living room is also your kitchen, bedroom, and office. So, we thought today, instead of just showing you another stunning landscape, though we'll try to sneak some of those in too, don't you worry, we'd dive into how we navigate the joys and, yes, the very real challenges of looking after ourselves on this incredible, rolling adventure. It's not about having all the answers, because believe me, we're still learning. But it's about sharing what works for us, the habits we've cultivated, the lessons we've learned, often the hard way, and how we try to weave well-being into the fabric of our nomadic lives. Because honestly, this dream of living fully, 1 mile and one story at a time, relies pretty heavily on having the energy and vitality to actually do it. It's about more than just avoiding illness. It's about having the get up and go to climb that hill for the spectacular view, the resilience to bounce back from a long driving day, and the clarity of mind to truly soak in these precious experiences. This isn't a lecture, mind you, or a set of rigid rules. If there's one thing van life teaches you, it's flexibility. But we've found a rhythm, a sort of philosophy, that helps us keep both our spirits and our bodies in reasonably good nick. It's a blend of conscious choices, a bit of planning, a lot of adaptability, and a healthy dose of self-compassion for those days when, well, things don't quite go as planned. So, grab a cuppa, get comfortable, and let's talk about health on the highway. Our approach, if you can call it that, really boils down to a few key areas: what we eat, how we move, how we manage the noggin, and the restorative magic of sleep. These pillars aren't revolutionary, I know, but fitting them into the compact, ever-changing world of a camper van requires a bit of creativity and commitment. Let's start with food, shall we? Because let's be honest, food is one of the great joys of travel, but it can also be a minefield. When we first started, I think we romanticized the idea of living on fresh baguettes and local cheeses, and while there's definitely a place for that, we quickly realized that a diet solely consisting of delicious, beige-colored carbs wasn't going to sustain us for the long haul. Our Vanny, bless her cotton socks, has a pretty compact kitchen. We've got a 2-burner hob, a small sink, and a fridge that requires a Tetris master's degree to pack efficiently. This means elaborate, multi-course meals are generally off the menu, which, in some ways, is a blessing. It forces simplicity. Simplicity is key, isn't it, love? Karen piped up from beside me, where she was sketching the river in her little notebook. If a recipe has more than 5 main ingredients or requires 3 different pans, I'm usually looking for an alternative. She's right. One of our biggest strategies is seeking out local markets wherever we are. It's not just about the food, it's an experience in itself. The vibrant colors of fresh produce, the chatter of vendors, the chance to try something new and local, it's a feast for the senses before it even reaches our plates. Earlier this week, we found a fantastic little market in a village nearby. We stocked up on leafy greens, some beautiful Scottish berries, fresh eggs from a farm down the road, and some locally caught fish. Our fridge is currently a testament to that fruitful expedition, though it did require some serious reorganizational skills on Karen's part. "I think I deserve an award for that fridge pack," she said with a grin. It was like a 3D jigsaw puzzle, but with broccoli. We try to cook most of our meals in the van. It's healthier, it's cheaper, and it allows us to control what goes into our food. We lean towards whole foods, lots of vegetables, fruits, lean proteins, and whole grains. Karen has become an absolute magician with one-pot meals. Soups, stews, hearty salads, stir-fries, anything that minimizes washing up and maximizes flavor is a winner. We've got a few trusty spices that travel with us everywhere, and they can transform even the simplest ingredients. A little smoked paprika here, some cumin there, and suddenly, a basic lentil soup feels like a gourmet experience, especially when eaten with a view like the one we have today. Of course, it's not all virtuous eating. There are days, especially long driving days or when we're exploring a new city, when the convenience of a quick takeaway or a pub meal is incredibly tempting. And sometimes, we absolutely indulge. Life's too short to say no to a good Cornish pasty when you're actually in Cornwall, or a slice of authentic Italian pizza. The key for us is balance. We aim for that 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, we're pretty good, and the other 20%, we allow ourselves those treats without guilt. It's about sustainability, not perfection. If we're too restrictive, it just doesn't feel like fun anymore, and this whole adventure is supposed to be fun. One of the challenges is definitely storage. We can't buy in bulk the way we used to. This means more frequent, smaller grocery shops. It also means getting creative with non-perishables. Tinned beans, lentils, tomatoes, and fish are staples. Oats for breakfast, a variety of nuts and seeds for snacks or adding to meals, these are things that don't need refrigeration and pack a nutritional punch. We learned early on that being hungry and unprepared in a remote spot is a recipe for making less than ideal food choices. So, having healthy snacks readily available, fruit, nuts, rice cakes, a homemade trail mix, is crucial. Karen usually makes a big batch of trail mix before we set off on a longer leg of a journey. "It's my emergency hangry prevention kit," she'd explained once, carefully measuring out almonds and dried cranberries. Keeps morale high when we're stuck in unexpected traffic or John takes a scenic detour that adds an hour to the drive. I recall a time in rural Spain, miles from anywhere remotely resembling a supermarket. Our fresh supplies had dwindled, and all we had left were some onions, a tin of chickpeas, a rather sad-looking carrot, and a packet of couscous. I was ready to declare a culinary emergency. But Karen, with her usual calm ingenuity, whipped up a surprisingly delicious and filling chickpea and carrot tagine, seasoned with the last of our Moroccan spice blend. We ate it sitting on a dusty hillside, watching the sunset. It wasn't gourmet, but it was nourishing, and it was a testament to making the best of what you have. Those are the moments that stick with you, the resourcefulness that van life demands. Another thing is hydration. It sounds so basic, but it's amazing how easy it is to forget to drink enough water, especially when you're busy exploring. We each have a reusable water bottle that's practically an extension of our arms. We fill them up every morning, and make a conscious effort to sip throughout the day. It makes such a difference to our energy levels and how we feel overall. So, that's a bit about the food side of things. It's an ongoing dance between planning and spontaneity, between healthy choices and enjoying the local delicacies. It's about being mindful without being obsessive. Now, let's talk about movement. When you live in a space that's roughly the size of a garden shed, it would be very easy to become quite sedentary. Driving for long stretches doesn't help either. So, incorporating physical activity into our daily lives is something we have to be quite intentional about. And let me tell you, when your alarm clock is the sound of birdsong and your front yard changes every few days, finding motivation isn't always the hardest part. The world is our gym. I often exclaim, much to Karen's amusement, usually when I'm attempting some rather uncoordinated stretches beside the van, much to the bewilderment of any passing sheep. But it's true. We don't have gym memberships. We don't have fancy equipment, apart from a couple of yoga mats that roll up neatly and some resistance bands that pack away into nothing. Our exercise comes from engaging with the incredible environments we find ourselves in. Hiking is probably our number one activity. Whether it's a gentle riverside walk, a challenging coastal path, or a proper mountain trail, we love to explore on foot. It's not just good for the body, it's incredible for the soul. You see things you'd miss from the van, you breathe fresh air, and you get that wonderful sense of accomplishment when you reach a viewpoint and see the world unfurl beneath you. This morning, for instance, before the mist had fully lifted from the river, we went for a brisk walk along its banks. We saw an otter, can you believe it? Just for a fleeting moment, but it was magical. That's the kind of reward that makes you forget you're even exercising. It just feels like living. Cycling is another favorite. We have a couple of sturdy, foldable bikes that live in the back of Vanny. They're fantastic for exploring towns and villages, or for venturing down those little country lanes where the van might not fit. We've cycled through vineyards in France, along canal towpaths in England, and around stunning lochs here in Scotland. Sometimes, it's a leisurely puddle, other times, especially if there are hills involved, it's a proper workout. Remember that hill in Tuscany, John? Karen interjected, a reminiscent smile playing on her lips. The one I thought was going to be the end of me? But the view from the top, and the gelato we had afterwards, totally worth it. Absolutely. The gelato was a crucial part of the recovery process, naturally. But it's not always about grand excursions. We try to build activity into our daily routines. If we're parked in a town, we'll walk to the shops instead of driving. We choose stairs over lifts. Even the chores of van life can be quite physical, fetching water, emptying waste tanks, climbing in and out of the high bed. It all adds up. Karen is a big fan of yoga and Pilates. She's got a few favorite routines she can do on her phone, and often, you'll find her doing her stretches beside the van, or even inside if the weather's a bit grim. It's amazing for flexibility and core strength, which are so important as we get older. I sometimes join in, though my downward dog often looks more like a confused Labrador. It provides Karen with endless amusement, which, I suppose, is good for her mental health, if not my dignity. You're getting better, dear, she'd say, trying to suppress a giggle. Your tree pose is definitely less wobbly than it used to be. We've learned that consistency is more important than intensity. A little bit of something active every day is far more beneficial than sporadic, heroic efforts followed by days of doing nothing. Some days, it might just be a gentle stroll and some stretching. Other days, it's a full-on hike. We listen to our bodies. If we're tired, we rest. This lifestyle is a marathon, not a sprint. And you know what? After a good walk, or a cycle ride, or even just those slightly awkward yoga poses, everything feels better. The food tastes better, the sleep is deeper, and the views seem just that little bit more vibrant. There's a profound satisfaction in knowing that your own 2 feet can take you to beautiful, hidden places. It's a reminder of what our bodies are capable of, regardless of age. But health, as we all know, isn't just about the physical. What goes on between the ears is just as crucial, if not more so. Living in close quarters, navigating unfamiliar territories, dealing with the inevitable uncertainties of travel, it can all take a toll on your mental well-being if you're not careful. This life is incredibly rewarding, but it's not without its stresses. A sudden breakdown in the middle of nowhere, the frustration of getting lost, or even just a succession of rainy days cooped up in the van can test your patience and your good humor. Communication is our superpower here, I think, Karen often says. And she's spot on. We've been married for over 30 years, and this adventure has, in many ways, brought us even closer. But it's also meant learning new ways to communicate, to be patient with each other, and to give each other space, even when there's physically very little of it. We've learned to really listen, to notice the subtle cues when the other person is feeling a bit frayed or overwhelmed. Sometimes it's about talking things through, other times it's just about offering a cup of tea and a bit of quiet support. One of the biggest things for our mental health is spending time in nature. It's inherently calming. Just sitting quietly, like we are now, listening to the river and the birds, watching the light change on the hills, it's a natural balm for the soul. We make a point of seeking out these peaceful spots. It recharges our batteries in a way that nothing else can. There have been countless times when we've felt a bit stressed or decision fatigued, and a simple walk in a forest or by the sea has completely shifted our perspective. We also try to maintain a sense of routine, even amidst the freedom. Not a rigid schedule, but gentle anchors in the day. Our morning cup of tea, a bit of reading or journaling, regular meal times, these little rituals provide a sense of stability and normalcy, which can be very grounding when everything else around you is constantly changing. And laughter. Karen added, looking up from her sketch. We laugh a lot. Often at ourselves. Remember that time you tried to ask for directions in French and ended up accidentally ordering 3 kilograms of onions? I groaned. Please, let's not relive my culinary French disasters. But yes, a sense of humor is essential. You have to be able to laugh at the mishaps, otherwise you'd just cry. And some of our biggest blunders have turned into our best stories. That's the core philosophy, isn't it? Finding the story, the learning, even the humor, in every situation. We also make an effort to stay connected, not just to each other, but to friends and family back home, and to the wonderful community of fellow travelers we've met along the way. Thank goodness for modern technology, which allows us to share our journey and stay in touch. And then there are the serendipitous connections you make on the road, a shared meal with other vanlifers, a helpful chat with a local, those brief but meaningful encounters that remind you of the kindness of strangers. These things feed the spirit. And a huge part of both physical and mental well-being, the unsung hero of health, is sleep. Oh, glorious sleep. It's when our bodies repair, our minds process, and we recharge for the next day's adventures. Getting good quality sleep in a van can sometimes be a challenge. New environments, different noises, varying temperatures, it all plays a part. We've invested in making our sleeping space as comfortable as possible. A good mattress was non-negotiable. We have blackout blinds to keep out the early morning light or any intrusive streetlights. We try to maintain a reasonably consistent sleep schedule, even though we don't have to get up for work in the traditional sense. Winding down in the evening, perhaps reading a book, listening to some calming music, rather than staring at screens, makes a big difference. There was one night, camped by a remote beach in Portugal, the only sound was the gentle shushing of the waves. The air was soft, the stars were incredible. We both slept like logs and woke up feeling so refreshed and ready for anything. It was a reminder of how powerful good sleep can be. Conversely, we've had nights parked in slightly dubious city spots where every creak and distant siren had us on edge, and we definitely felt the effects the next day. So, choosing our overnight spots carefully, when we can, plays a big role in our sleep quality and, by extension, our overall mood and energy. It all sounds like a lot when you lay it out like this, doesn't it? The food, the exercise, the mental well-being, the sleep. But honestly, it doesn't feel like a series of chores. It's just become the way we live. It's an ongoing process of tuning in, making adjustments, and prioritizing what makes us feel good, what enables us to keep exploring and enjoying this incredible chapter of our lives. As the sun begins to dip a little lower now, casting long shadows from the trees across the river, it's that time of day when we start to wind down. Maybe we'll get a small campfire going later, if the conditions are right. There's something primal and comforting about a fire. We'll prepare a simple meal, perhaps that fresh fish we bought, grilled with some herbs and served with a colorful salad. You know, when we first talked about making this leap into van life, the health aspect was a bit of a concern. Would we let ourselves go? Would it be too difficult to maintain good habits? But it's been a pleasant surprise. In many ways, this lifestyle has made us healthier. We're more active by default. We're more mindful about what we eat because we have to be. We're more connected to nature, which is inherently healing. It's not about perfection, is it? Karen murmured, closing her sketchbook and stretching. It's about intention, and being kind to ourselves. Some days are better than others. Some days, the main exercise is lifting a forkful of cake to your mouth, and that's okay too. She has a point. It's that balance again. It's about finding a sustainable way of living that supports our adventures, rather than hindering them. Before we started this, health often felt like something you had to schedule in, an appointment you had to keep. Now, it's much more integrated, more organic. The need to fetch water from a tap 100 yards away is exercise. The careful planning of meals to fit a small fridge is mindful eating. The quiet awe of watching a sunset over a new horizon is a mental reset. This journey, this van life after 50, it's taught us so much. About the world, about each other, and about ourselves. And one of the biggest lessons has been about the interconnectedness of it all. Our physical health impacts our mental resilience. Our mental state affects our food choices. Good sleep underpins everything. It's a holistic system, and living in a small, self-contained unit like Vanny makes that incredibly apparent. We wouldn't be able to do half the things we do, see the incredible places we've seen, if we didn't make a conscious effort to look after ourselves. We want to be able to scramble up that rocky path to the ancient ruins, to cycle along that breathtaking coastline, to have the energy to engage with new people and new cultures. That's what living fully means to us. It's not just about ticking off destinations, it's about having the vitality to truly experience them. And the beauty of it is, it's adaptable. What works for us might not work for everyone. Some vanlifers are marathon runners, others are content with gentle walks. Some are gourmet vegan chefs in their tiny kitchens, others thrive on simple, hearty fare. The point is to find what nourishes you, what energizes you, what makes you feel strong and capable and ready to embrace whatever the road throws your way. I think back to our old life, the routine, the commutes, the stress that often came with it. We probably had access to more health resources then, gyms, a wider variety of shops, a more predictable schedule. But were we healthier? I'm not so sure. There's a vitality that comes from living a life aligned with your passions, from waking up each day with a sense of adventure, that no gym membership can provide. The challenges are real, of course. Resisting the lure of easily available processed foods when you're tired and hungry. Finding the motivation to exercise when it's pouring with rain and the van feels particularly small. Dealing with the occasional bout of van cabin fever. But overcoming these challenges, finding solutions that work for us, that's part of the adventure too. It builds resilience, and a quiet confidence in our ability to adapt. It's not about restrictive diets or punishing exercise regimes. It's about making choices, small ones every day, that add up to a greater sense of well-being. It's about listening to our bodies, respecting our limits, but also gently pushing our boundaries sometimes. It's about fueling ourselves well for the journey, both literally and metaphorically. The river is really glowing now in the late afternoon light. A couple of ducks are making their way upstream, unhurried, perfectly in tune with their surroundings. There's a deep sense of peace here. And that, perhaps, is the most important ingredient in our recipe for health on the road: peace of mind, contentment, and a profound gratitude for this extraordinary life we've been able to build. Gratitude for our health, which allows us to live it, and gratitude for the journey itself, which continually teaches us how to nurture it. So, what's next on the agenda for us? Well, tomorrow, if the Scottish weather plays fair, we're planning on tackling a section of that stunning coastal path we spotted on the way here. It looks like it has a few ups and downs, so it should be a good test for these old legs, and an even better excuse for a hearty, healthy dinner afterwards. We'll be sure to pack plenty of water and Karen's emergency trail mix, just in case my map reading skills lead us on another one of those infamous scenic detours. And that's really a little glimpse into how we try to keep our personal engines running as smoothly as Vanny's, most of the time, anyway. It's a constant learning curve, a continuous adjustment, but it's a vital part of making this dream sustainable and enjoyable for the long term. It's not about chasing eternal youth, but about embracing vibrant maturity, filled with energy and curiosity. We truly hope that sharing a bit about our approach to staying healthy on the road has been interesting, perhaps even a little inspiring for anyone out there contemplating their own adventures, big or small, on wheels or otherwise. It really is possible to prioritize your well-being, no matter your age or your address. It just takes a little intention, a dash of creativity, and a whole lot of love for the journey. We'd love to hear from you all. What are your favorite ways to stay healthy, whether you're on the road or at home? Any tips or tricks you'd like to share? Drop them in the comments below. We always love reading your thoughts and learning from your experiences. It's what this community is all about. Thanks so much for joining us today, for letting us share this slightly different side of our van life. We appreciate every single one of you who tunes in and travels along with us in spirit. Until next time, keep exploring, keep dreaming, and most importantly, keep living fully, 1 mile, 1 story at a time. Take care, everyone.